It was a bright Saturday morning in the quiet town of Brookhill, a place filled with laughter, green trees, and friendly neighbors. Children played outside, birds sang sweet songs, and families gathered for breakfast. But inside a little white house on Maple Street, one girl sat at the kitchen table with a frown on her face. Her name was Lilian. Lilian was 10 years old. She had shiny black hair, big brown eyes, and skin as soft as cream. She lived with her parents and her younger brother, Max. They were not poor, but they were not rich either. Her father worked at a car repair shop, and her mother was a school teacher. They lived a simple life, filled with love, laughter, and lessons. But there was one problem. Lilian was greedy. Not just a little greedy. She always wanted more. More food, more clothes, more toys, more everything. That morning, her mother placed 2 pancakes on her plate and said, "Here you go, sweetie. Eat while it's hot." Lilian looked at her plate and frowned. "Only 2? Max got 3. Her mother shook her head. "Lilian, Max is younger and needs more. You had 3 yesterday, but I want more today," Lilian shouted, pushing the plate away. Max looked at her, confused. "You can have mine if you want." Lilian grabbed Max's plate without saying thank you and began to eat. Her mother sighed. This wasn't the first time Lilian acted like this. She always grabbed the biggest slice of cake, the newest toy, the prettiest dress, and never shared. At school, her friends had started avoiding her. They didn't like how she always took more than her share. Even her teachers noticed her selfish ways. After breakfast, Lilian ran to her room. She opened her toy chest and threw out things she no longer liked. Dolls, puzzles, games, things other children would love to have were tossed aside like trash. She picked up her tablet and opened her favorite game. It was called Treasure Island, where players collected gold coins to buy castles, pets, and clothes for their character. She had already collected more than anyone else in her class, but she wanted more as she played. Her mother knocked on the door. "Lilian, it's a sunny day. Why don't you go outside and play with the neighbors?" "No!" Lilian shouted. "I'm busy collecting treasure." Her mother didn't say anything. She just walked away quietly. Later that afternoon, her father came home with a surprise. He held 2 small boxes in his hands and smiled. "I brought something special for both of you," he said, giving one to Max and one to Lilian. Max opened his and found a small toy car. His eyes sparkled with joy. "Thank you, Daddy." Lilian opened hers and found a bracelet made of blue and white beads. It was handmade and delicate. But instead of smiling, she frowned. "Why didn't I get a toy like Max?" she asked. "It's a bracelet, Lilian. It's special. I picked it just for you." "I don't want this," she said and threw it on the table. Her father looked hurt. "Lilian, you can't always get what you want." "Yes, I can," she yelled and ran to her room. That night, Lilian had a dream. She was standing in a candy store, filled from top to bottom with sweets. Chocolate, gumdrops, jelly beans, lollipops. It was a greedy child's dream. She began grabbing everything, stuffing her pockets, her mouth, and even her shoes with candy. No one stopped her. There was no one else in the store. She was happy, but suddenly, the lights went out, the candy turned into mud. Her mouth was full of bitter leaves. Her hands were sticky with slime. She screamed. Then, she woke up, sweating and scared. She looked around her room. Everything was normal, but the dream had felt too real. The next day, she woke up early and ran to the kitchen. "Good morning," her mother said gently. "Are you feeling better?" Lilian nodded slowly. She sat at the table. And this time, when her mother gave her 2 pancakes, she smiled and said, "Thank you." Her mother looked surprised but said nothing. Max came down a few minutes later, rubbing his eyes. He smiled at his sister. "Good morning." Lilian looked at him, then at his plate. It had 2 pancakes like hers. She thought for a moment, then she did something she had never done before. She tore one of her pancakes in half and placed it on Max's plate. "Let's share," she said softly. Max's eyes lit up. "Thanks, Lilian." Her mother smiled, and her father, who had just walked in, looked proud. But the lesson didn't end there. Lilian still had a long way to go. Being greedy wasn't something that could disappear overnight. It was deep inside her, like a bad seed. But that morning, a small change had begun. Later that week, her school announced a sharing week. Students were asked to bring something from home to donate to kids in need. Lilian groaned when she heard about it. "Why should I give my stuff away?" Her teacher, Miss Clara, said gently, "Because giving makes your heart grow. When you give, you don't lose. You gain something greater." That night, Lilian sat in front of her toy chest. She stared at her things and sure, she picked up a stuffed bunny, her favorite one, and hugged it tightly. Then she whispered, "You'll make another girl happy," and placed it in the donation box. One by one, she picked other toys, books, and clothes she no longer used. At the end, the box was full. The next day, she walked proudly into school, carrying the box. Her classmates stared in shock. "Wow, Lilian brought the most." Someone said. Miss Clara smiled. "That's the spirit of giving." Lilian felt something strange in her heart. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't regret. It was something warm. Happiness. For the first time, she felt happy not because she had more, but because she gave something away. But old habits die hard, and the road to change was just beginning. And deep inside Lilian's heart, the greedy little voice still whispered, "Take more." But another voice had begun to grow. One that said, "Share, be kind." The two voices would fight inside her in the days to come. Which voice would win? That was a story still unfolding. The following week began like any other. The sun shone through the classroom windows as students filed into Miss Clara's 4th grade class. Lilian walked in with her head held high. She had donated the most during sharing week, and the attention she received made her feel special. But deep down, something hadn't changed. Lilian still wanted to be the best at everything, not because she worked hard, but because she wanted to have more, take more, and be praised more. After morning lessons, Miss Clara stood at the front of the class and clapped her hands. "Class, today we're starting something new," she said with a smile. "Each of you will be placed into groups of 4 for a special project. You'll work together for 2 weeks and present at the end. This project is about teamwork, not competition. Everyone must help and share ideas." The class buzzed with excitement. Lilian, however, frowned. She didn't like working in groups. She preferred doing things on her own so she could control everything. Sharing ideas? Letting others lead? No way. Miss Clara began calling out the group names. Group 1, Noah, Lucy, Kyle, and Emma. Group 2, Jordan, Bella, Max, and Lilian. Lilian's head snapped up. "Max? My brother? In my group?" Max grinned from his seat. "Yay! We're in the same group." Lilian forced a smile. She didn't want to be in a group with Max. He was younger, slower, and liked to share everything. The other two in their group, Bella and Jordan, were quiet and kind. Lilian didn't think they would help her shine. The class broke into their groups to brainstorm ideas. Max suggested, "Let's do a project about how trees help the earth." Bella nodded. "That's a good idea. We can talk about clean air, animals, and shade." Jordan added, "And we can make a model of a forest." Lilian rolled her eyes. "That's boring. Let's do a city with tall buildings and shopping malls. We can talk about how people make money." Bella shook her head. "But we were told to focus on nature and teamwork." "I don't care," Lilian snapped. "My idea is better." Max lowered his eyes. Jordan said nothing, but Bella stood her ground. "Lilian, we're supposed to agree as a group. It's not fair to force your idea." Lilian crossed her arms. "Fine, do what you want." For the next few days, the group worked on their project without Lilian's help. She sat with them but didn't join in. When Miss Clara walked by, Lilian pretended to draw trees or color something, but she wasn't really helping. On the final day before presentations, Miss Clara told each group to choose who would speak during the presentation. Bella looked at Max and Jordan. "Max, you found the facts. Jordan, you drew the forest. You two should present." "What about Lilian?" Max asked kindly. "She didn't help." Jordan said. Why should she get credit? Miss Clara overheard and nodded. That's a fair point. In teamwork, everyone must do their part. If someone didn't help, it's okay for the rest of the group to present without them. Lilian's cheeks turned red. She had been left out. For the first time, she felt what it was like to be pushed aside, not because others were mean, but because she hadn't earned her place. The next day, during the class presentations, Lilian sat quietly while Max, Jordan, and Bella stood proudly and shared their project. The whole class clapped. Miss Clara gave them a gold star and praised their teamwork. Lilian felt a mix of jealousy and shame. She had always wanted to be the best, but now she had nothing. During lunch, Lilian sat under a tree alone. She picked at her sandwich and stared at the ground. Max walked over and sat next to her. Hey! She didn't answer. I know you didn't like the project, he said gently, but it would have been fun if you joined us. I wanted it to be my way, she admitted. I wanted to be in charge, Max nodded. I know, but sometimes sharing makes things better. They sat in silence for a while. That evening at home, Lilian helped set the table for dinner without being asked. Her mother raised an eyebrow. Everything okay? Lilian shrugged. I just wanted to help. After dinner, her father called her and Max into the living room. He held 2 wrapped boxes. I bought you something small, just a little treat. He handed one box to Lilian and the other to Max. Lilian unwrapped hers and found a lovely diary with a golden pen. Max got a brand new toy robot. Lilian stared at the diary for a long time. It was beautiful, but something inside her stirred. Max looked so happy with his toy. Slowly, she stood up and walked to her brother. Do you want to trade? She asked. Max blinked. Are you sure? Lilian smiled. Yeah, I think I'll enjoy writing more than I thought. And I know you love robots. Her parents watched silently, surprised. That night, Lilian opened the diary and began writing. Not about games or candy or things she wanted, but about how she felt when she was left out, and how she wanted to be better. The next day, back at school, Miss Clara gave out a new classroom job, organizing the class bookshelf. It was something many students avoided because it was boring. Lilian raised her hand. I'll do it. The class looked at her in surprise. Miss Clara smiled. Thank you, Lilian. Later, when Bella passed by, she said, Hey, good job yesterday. Want to work with us on the next project? Lilian smiled and nodded. I'd like that. Her heart felt lighter. The greedy voice inside her still whispered sometimes, but another voice was stronger now. It said, Be kind, give more, work together. For Lilian, that was a new kind of treasure. And for the first time, she didn't feel like she had to take from others to feel rich. She was starting to learn what it meant to give, and the journey was just beginning. The days grew warmer in Brookhill and spring slowly turned to summer. Flowers bloomed, bees buzzed, and the schoolyard was full of laughter. Lilian was changing, bit by bit. She still struggled with her old habits, but now she was trying to be better. But one afternoon, something happened that tested everything she had started to learn. It was a Wednesday, just after lunch. Miss Clara walked into class holding a shiny golden envelope. Class, she said with a bright smile, I have exciting news. Our school has been invited to enter a town-wide contest called the Heart of Brookhill. It's all about kindness, creativity, and helping others. The winning student will get a special prize from the mayor during the summer fair. Everyone sat up straighter. The rules are simple, Miss Clara continued. Each student must do something helpful or kind, but they have to do it without being told and without asking for attention. Then, each teacher will secretly watch and choose the most sincere student. Whispers filled the room. A prize from the mayor? Max whispered to Lilian. That's big. Lilian nodded, her heart beating fast. She wanted that prize. And just like that, the old greedy feeling returned. Not for food, not for toys, but for praise, for attention, for the gold. She couldn't stop thinking about what the prize might be. A gift card? A trophy? A brand new bike? All that afternoon, Lilian went out of her way to help. She picked up paper from the floor, pushed in everyone's chairs, and handed out books. Wow! Lilian is really trying hard, said Emma. Miss Clara noticed too. She smiled, but said nothing. By the end of the week, Lilian had cleaned the board, arranged supplies, and even shared her lunch twice, but each time she helped, she kept looking around to see if someone was watching. She waited and waited to hear Miss Clara say, "You're going to win," but no one said anything. On Friday morning, Miss Clara finally spoke about the contest again. "Before I announce my choice," she said, "I want to remind you all, kindness that comes from the heart is what matters most. Not what people see, but what they feel." Lilian sat up tall. "I watched many of you this week. Some of you helped without even being noticed. That's real kindness." Lilian smiled confidently. "It must be me," she thought. "But one student truly surprised me." Miss Clara continued. "This person gave up their lunch for a new student who forgot theirs. They also stayed behind after class to help clean up the art room even though no one asked." Lilian's smile slowly faded. "I didn't do that," she thought. Miss Clara turned toward the back of the class. "The winner is Olivia." Everyone clapped. Olivia, a quiet girl who rarely spoke, looked shocked. She turned red as she walked to the front of the class to collect the envelope. Lilian clapped too, but her hands felt heavy. Her chest ached that afternoon. She didn't talk much. Max walked beside her on their way home. "You okay?" he asked. "I really thought I was going to win," Lilian said quietly. "I saw you helping a lot," Max replied. "But maybe Olivia wasn't trying to win. Maybe she was just being nice." Lilian stopped walking. She remembered how she had rushed to do good things, not because she cared, but because she wanted the prize. She had looked around each time, hoping someone saw it wasn't real. And for the first time, she understood. The next morning, Saturday, Lilian woke up early. Her parents were still in bed. The kitchen was quiet. She saw dishes left from the night before. Normally, she would have waited for her mom to clean up, but today felt different. She picked up a sponge and started scrubbing. Slowly, carefully, without noise. No one saw her. No one praised her. Then she mopped the floor. Then she folded a small basket of clean laundry sitting on the couch. Still, no one noticed. She finished and sat at the table, breathing softly. She felt something inside her, not pride, not joy, not anger, just peace. Her mother walked into the kitchen a few minutes later and stopped in surprise. "What in the world?" she gasped. Lilian smiled. "I just wanted to help." Her mother gave her a long look. "You did this without being asked?" Lilian nodded. Her mom didn't shout or clap. She just walked over, knelt down, and gave her daughter a quiet hug. "Thank you," she whispered. "That means so much." Later that day, Lilian sat in her room writing in her diary. Her words were slow and thoughtful. "I think I understand now. Being kind is not about people clapping. It's about how you make others feel. Even if no one sees it, your heart knows." And maybe that's the biggest prize of all. That afternoon, Max and some neighborhood kids came knocking. "Lilian, want to play soccer?" She opened the door, then paused. "Wait 1 second." She went to the back room, grabbed an old soccer ball she didn't like to share, and handed it to Max. "Use this," she said. "I'll play with you." Max blinked. "Really? You never let anyone touch this ball." Lilian smiled. "It's just a ball. What matters is the game." The kids ran off laughing, and for the rest of the day, Lilian played freely, without needing to win, without needing to take the most, just happy to be part of something. That evening, Miss Clara called her home. Lilian picked up the phone, surprised. "I just wanted to tell you," her teacher said, "that even though you didn't win the prize, I saw what you did today in the school garden, helping the janitor clean up after everyone left. You didn't know I was watching." Lilian blinked. I didn't do that to be seen." "I know," Miss Clara said. "That's why I noticed." Lilian smiled. Her heart was calm. She no longer needed the golden envelope. She had something better growing inside her now, a heart that was learning how to give. And this time, it was real. Summer came quickly in Brookhill. The air was warm, the skies were bright, and school had closed for the holidays. Children played outside with water balloons and bicycles. Ice cream trucks rolled through the streets. Laughter echoed through the neighborhood like music. Lilian was enjoying every moment. She helped her mom cook, watered the plants, and played kindly with Max and the neighbors. She even made a habit of writing in her diary every night, reflecting on the things she did well and the times she needed to improve. She still felt sometimes tempted to take more, be praised, or keep the best things for herself. But now, she noticed those thoughts and tried to fight them. But old habits don't go away easily. And one sunny afternoon, Lilian faced a challenge she wasn't ready for. It started when her parents told her some exciting news. "Your cousins are coming to visit for a whole week," her mother said cheerfully. "They'll be staying with us until next Saturday." Lilian's eyes widened. "Really? Which cousins?" "Chloe and Ethan," her dad replied. "They're bringing their parents too, so the house will be full." Lilian froze. Chloe and Ethan were her aunt's kids. They were the same age as her and Max. And while Chloe was quiet and polite, Ethan was loud, messy, and greedy. Yes, Ethan was even more greedy than Lilian had ever been. He liked to snatch things. He never said, "Thank you." He took all the snacks during visits and always wanted to be first. Whenever they visited before, Lilian had hated it mostly because she felt like she was looking into a mirror. This time, though, she told herself it would be different. "I'll be patient," she whispered. "I'll be kind." But she didn't realize how hard it would be. The cousins arrived on Sunday afternoon. There were hugs and smiles and laughter. Chloe clung to her mother at first, but Ethan came rushing into Lilian's room and shouted, "Wow, look at all your stuff." "Yeah," Lilian said carefully. "We can all play together." Before she could say more, Ethan had opened her toy box and pulled out her newest board game, the one she hadn't even opened yet. "Let's play this now," he said, shaking the box. "I was saving that," Lilian started, but her mother peeked in and smiled. "It's okay to share, sweetheart." Lilian bit her tongue and nodded. "Okay." The rest of the day only got worse. Ethan used her coloring pencils without asking. He spilled juice on her favorite book. He grabbed the biggest piece of cake at dinner even before Max could pick his. And every time Lilian wanted to speak up, she heard a small voice in her heart. "Be kind. Be kind." But by Wednesday, Lilian had had enough. That morning, her father came back from town with a bag of small souvenirs from the market. There were candies, little toys, and colorful pens. He handed each child a small surprise. Max got a toy whistle. Chloe got a storybook. Ethan got a spinning top. Lilian opened her bag and found a keychain shaped like a heart. It was glittery and red, and it sparkled in the light. "I love it," she whispered. Ethan turned toward her. "Let me see yours." She held it up proudly. Then, without asking, Ethan grabbed it from her hands. "Cool. Can I have it?" "No," Lilian said firmly, reaching for it. "It's mine." "But I want it." Ethan cried. "You got your own toy," she snapped. He started to shout. "That's not fair. I want hers. Hers is better." Their parents rushed into the room, and Lilian's mother gently took the keychain from Ethan and handed it back to Lilian. "Ethan, this one belongs to Lilian. You need to be happy with yours." "But it's not as shiny," Ethan yelled. Lilian looked at him. She was angry, furious even. But somewhere inside, she remembered how it had felt when she used to act that way. When she used to cry over not having the best. When she used to take things without asking. Suddenly, her anger softened. She sat beside Ethan and held out her keychain again. "Do you want to hold it for a while?" she asked quietly. "You can play with it, but please don't break it." Ethan blinked. "Really?" She nodded. "But you have to give it back." He held the keychain gently in his hands. "Okay, thanks." Her parents stared in surprise. Her mother smiled but didn't say a word. Later that night, as the cousins played in the backyard, Chloe came to Lilian and whispered, "You're really nice." Lilian smiled. "I'm trying. I wish Ethan was like you," Chloe said. Lilian shook her head. "I used to be like him. It's hard to stop being greedy." Chloe looked thoughtful. "But you did." "Not completely," Lilian admitted. Sometimes I still want everything for myself, but now I ask myself, will this make me happy or just make others feel bad? Chloe nodded slowly. That night, before bed, Lilian wrote in her diary, "Today, I wanted to shout. I wanted to grab my keychain back and hide it. But I remembered how I used to feel, and I didn't want Ethan to feel small." Maybe being kind means remembering how it feels when no one is kind to you. The next morning, Lilian woke up early. She went to the kitchen and helped her mother wash fruit for breakfast. Ethan walked in, rubbing his eyes. He sat at the table, looking sleepy. Lilian placed a small bowl of grapes in front of him. "What's this?" he asked. "Your favorite," she said. "I remembered from last time." He blinked. "Thanks." He didn't smile, but he didn't throw a tantrum either. And that was a good start. When the cousins left on Saturday, Ethan gave Lilian a shy wave from the car window. Lilian waved back. Later that day, Max came into her room, holding the keychain she had shared. "Ethan gave this back to me and said to tell you he didn't break it." Lilian took it and smiled. "That's good." Max looked up at her. "You're really different now." "Different how?" "You don't grab things like before." "You're nicer," Lilian chuckled. "Well, I'm still learning." Then she looked out the window, watching the trees sway in the breeze. She knew the greedy part of her wasn't gone completely, but she also knew something important now. She had the power to choose, and each time she chose kindness, she felt lighter, freer, happier, because giving didn't make her smaller. It made her shine, and that was the kind of girl she wanted to be. The weeks after Lilian's cousins left were peaceful. Life in Brookhill returned to its quiet rhythm. The birds chirped every morning. Max rode his scooter up and down the sidewalk. Lilian helped her mom in the kitchen, read books in the afternoon, and wrote daily in her diary. Things felt calm, simple, and good. Summer slowly gave way to autumn. The trees began to turn gold, red, and orange. Leaves danced in the wind and covered the ground like a soft, colorful blanket. School reopened, and Lilian returned to class with a new backpack and a brighter heart. But Lilian didn't know that a bigger test was coming, one that would challenge everything she had learned. It began on a chilly Thursday afternoon at tea school. Her teacher, Mrs. Peters, clapped her hands and made an announcement. "Next week is our school fair," she said excitedly. "There will be games, food stalls, art shows, and a lucky draw." The class cheered. "The lucky draw," Mrs. Peters continued. "We'll have 10 special prizes. And guess what the grand prize is?" Everyone leaned forward. "A brand new tablet," she said, holding up a photo. "It comes with free apps for learning, drawing, and reading. The winner gets to take it home." Lilian gasped. She didn't own a tablet. Her family shared one small device at home. It was slow and often used by Max for games or by Mom for her recipes. A new tablet of her own? It felt like a dream. "That tablet will be mine," said Mia, the popular girl in class. "No way," another boy laughed. "It's mine. I already have. Good luck." Lilian said nothing. She stared at the picture and quietly whispered, "Please let it be me." On the day of the fair, the whole school buzzed with excitement. There were games like ring toss, face painting, and a small petting zoo. Parents came. Teachers wore funny hats. There were cookies and popcorn, lemonade and cotton candy. Laughter filled the air like bubbles. Lilian enjoyed it all. She played a few games, painted her face like a butterfly, and even helped a younger student who had dropped her snack, but all the while, her heart beat fast for the lucky draw. Every student had been given a raffle ticket when they arrived. Just one, and only one ticket would win the grand prize. Lilian held her ticket tightly. "Please," she whispered, "please let me win." At the end of the fair, a large table was set on the stage in the school hall. The 10 prizes were placed neatly. Books, puzzles, art kits, and finally at the center, the glowing photo of the tablet. Mrs. Peters walked onto the stage and tapped the microphone. "Are we ready for the draw?" she asked. "Yes." The students shouted. One by one, the smaller prizes were drawn. A book set went to Aria, a puzzle kit to Liam, a backpack to Henry. Lilian held her breath. "Now," said Mrs. Peters, "time for the grand prize." She reached into the raffle drum. shuffled the tickets, and pulled one out. The winner of the tablet is... She paused. Ticket number 384. Gasps filled the room. Students looked at their numbers. Then a small voice cried out from the back, "Me! That's me!" All eyes turned. It was Bella. Bella was quiet. She wore old shoes and used broken crayons in class. Her backpack had a rip in it. Lilian remembered that Bella often came to school without lunch and sometimes borrowed notebooks from others. Bella stood up, wide-eyed, holding her ticket. Her hands were shaking. Mrs. Peters checked the number, smiled warmly, and said, "Congratulations, Bella." Everyone clapped. Everyone. Except Lilian. She felt like a balloon had popped inside her chest. Her eyes stung with tears. She wanted to clap, but her hands wouldn't move. Her throat was tight. Her mind shouted, "It should have been me." She walked out of the hall quickly and sat behind the building, where no one could see her. She cried. For a long time. She felt angry and jealous and sad all at once. "I was good," she whispered. "I've changed. I was patient. I shared. I gave. Why didn't I win?" She pulled her knees to her chest. Then she remembered Bella's face. The way her eyes had sparkled. The way she had looked shocked, like it was the best thing that had ever happened to her. Lilian remembered all the days Bella had walked quietly through the hallways, never asking for much, never getting much. She remembered the way her mother always said, "Blessings come when they're needed most." Lilian sat quietly. Then she stood up. She walked back to the hall. Bella was still on stage, holding her prize, her face full of joy. Lilian walked toward her. "Bella," she said softly. Bella turned. "Yes? I just wanted to say." Lilian paused, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I'm really happy for you. You deserve it." Bella blinked. "Thank you." Lilian smiled, and for the first time in the whole day, she felt lighter. After the fair, as Lilian walked home with her parents and Max, her mom noticed her quiet mood. "Did you have fun?" her mom asked. Lilian nodded slowly. "Yes, did. You win anything?" "No," her mom smiled gently. "You okay?" Lilian looked up at her. "I wanted the tablet really badly, but someone else won. And at first, I was upset. But now I think, maybe they needed it more than I did." Her dad looked impressed. "That's very mature of you." "It still hurts a little," Lilian admitted. "That's okay," her mom said. "Sometimes kindness means cheering for others, even when your heart feels a little broken." Lilian thought about that all night. Before bed, she opened her diary. She wrote, "Today, I lost something I really wanted. I cried, but I also learned something. Being greedy is when you want something even if it means someone else has to suffer. Being kind is when you let others shine, even when you feel dim. I didn't win the tablet, but I won something bigger. I won peace." She closed the diary and smiled at the stars outside her window. She knew she wouldn't be perfect every day. She might still struggle sometimes, but she also knew she had grown, and that lesson would stay with her forever, because once a greedy girl, Lilian had become someone new. Someone kind. Someone strong. Someone who knew that giving, forgiving, and cheering for others made the world brighter, not just for them, but for her too, and that was a prize greater than any tablet. The end. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.